Neopets. About a year ago, I made a video playing Neopets again. Right here, if you want to look at it, aptly titled Playing Neopets in 2022. How is this game still alive? I'm sorry, how is this still around? I'm wrong, I forget my own video titles. But a tradition of this channel is I would usually just have videos that are very clickbaity title of playing old game in current year type of format and formula. That's the YouTube game, you know? But at that point, the game seemed like it was pretty dead and buried as I played it last year. But then fast forward to this year, or about a month ago in real time, and it seems like Neopets is getting a massive revival. It just recently announced this big new expansion, a restructuring of the company, and a changing of hands for the rights of the IP. And it got me thinking, how crazy long of a history this game has, considering it's the same age as me currently. The fact that this has been mostly only an IP and property that just belonged on to the internet, with some TV and video game promotion as well. So it got me thinking about the long 24 years worth of history that Neopets has behind it. It's the same age as me, and I'm an old man. That's why today I wanted to make a video, I guess, talking about the crazy history of Neopets, and it's like a fun little rabbit hole to get into. So, what even is a Neopet? There were these prominently really big digital pet creatures during the span of when digital pets were a huge trend. Tamagotchis were already pretty big, and then Pokemon kind of came over and took over the whole world by storm. That's why I'm wearing a Pokemon shirt today. Hey, the shirt changes colors if I go outside. Drip check, I guess. I can't. The effect goes away before I can run back in and show you. I'll record a video of it on my phone. How about that? Hi, I'm gonna show you what my shirt looks like. Crazy. In response to the success of Tamagotchis and Pokemon, every company and their mother wanted to capitalize on this e-pet, e-sim, e-girl era. Thanks to the success of Pokemon and Tamagotchi, we got IPs like Digimon, which is still going really strong and ever evolving, which I think is pretty cool and badass. Gigapets, Nano Kitty, Cube World. You remember Cube World? Even Mega Man wanted in on this with the Battle Network series having the pet thing. I actually still have my my pet somewhere. Here's the picture of what it looks like. It's floating in my hand. You look at that editing. That's crazy, right? Even Pokemon tried copying their own success with the Pocket Pikachu series. There's even a Pocket Pikachu 2. The world wanted more than just a little creature who'd clip onto your backpack and shit itself to death and have a lot of beep in the middle of class during silent reading time. And thanks to the internet, we got that. Neopets was created as a collaborative effort between the two creators, Adam Powell and Donna Williams, in the good old United Kingdom. Those two, with the help of two extra friends, launched the original Neopets website on November 15, 1999. Adam's main goal with Neopets was, and I quote, to keep university students entertained and possibly make some cash from banner advertising, which, yeah, it definitely made a lot of money with banner advertisements. This has been a franchise going on for the last 24 years, so I think he was pretty successful in that. With the rising success of Neopets during this early age came the rise of interest from investors. Investors with lots of money. Investors with religious foundation money behind them as well. Knock knock, here comes the Church of Scientology. One of the original founding investors for Neopets was a Scientologist who wanted to introduce ideas and ideologies of Scientology into Neopets to give it to children, because that is a clearly normal thing to do and is not bad to introduce religion and maybe even cults to little kids who just want to play with some little e-pets. I'm just imagining you're playing Neopets and L. Ron Hubbard is giving you quests and you're playing a playable alien race shaped like Xenu. After a successful 6-year run of being independent, it was time for these little digital creatures to evolve and move on to the next big stage, being bought out by a big-ass corporation. That's why when Viacom bought Neopets for a landmark I'm reading this quote exactly, $160 million deal back in 2005. That's a lot of money. If you need to know how much money that is in today's standards, I'm just gonna look at that. This was just a purchase made to buy cute digital creatures who exist only on the internet. This this is what they were buying for. That's a lot of money, dude. Damn. This is also the era that I kind of think most kids knew what Neopets was, because I'm also in that generation, I feel. I mean, not to say that I didn't know what Neopets was when I was like a little fucking stupid 3-year-old, but, you know, I didn't know what it were, so, you know, thanks, Viacom. You really got me into this field of work right now. But yeah, this is around the time when Neopets was just these little bastards were being advertised like everywhere you went, because if you didn't know, here's all the companies Viacom owns, and so that's pretty fun, right? That they just own that many things. We even got these little shitheads in our McDonald's Happy Meals, which again, I talked about in my previous video. This one, you should definitely check it out. Self-plug. Again, I'm doing 2 now. This is 2. Around this time as well, the 2 creators depart the brand and have gone on to other projects as well. They made out with some pretty big bucks, so good for them. You're doing great. And just to show how massive this marketing push that Viacom and Nickelodeon had towards Neopets, again, those Happy Meals went crazy. So to show you how big it was back then. Again, I really want to preface how big this was. In 2011, Viacom said that they had encompassed 1 trillion page views since the creation. A trillion is a lot. Show the zeros of a trillion right here. That's a lot. That's a lot of zeros. And you're like, yeah, whatever. That's old numbers, 2011, because there's clearly more to this story that Viacom wasn't the last people. You're correct. The story gets even thicker. Let's skip ahead a few years to 2014 when Jumpstart Games gets involved and would purchase Neopets from Viacom with yet another change in hands of ownership. This is probably around the era when the community would call Neopets history
the dark times.
I don't actually know if they call it that. I'm just code wording it that because all of my research suggests that no one liked this era. I only wanted to call it the dark times because this is when the community really just had the lowest lows. There was just controversy after controversy, just the longest stretch of I feel horrible for this community. Because immediately after Jumpstart Games started taking over the IP and shifting everything over to their servers, there were consistent and constant issues happening. There's a construction going on outside my house. I don't know if you can hear that. I also am guilty of thinking that this is around the time when I just thought Neopets was dying because I just didn't care about it. I didn't hear about it anymore because I was a dumb little kid. I didn't think to even research if it was still around because I didn't see commercials for it anymore. I think Viacom did a lot of really good advertising to get people really interested in it because it really worked. And the second that they didn't own it anymore, I thought it was gone. If you want to know how bad the Jumpstart Games controversy was, if you go on to Reddit r/hobby drama, I know, Reddit moment, you get the joke out of the way, I know. Ugh. If you search up Neopets on that subreddit though, there's a long list of grievances that the fan base had, and it still is ongoing today. It's crazy how many stories there are on hobby drama, which I didn't know the subreddit existed, but it's actually really fun to sort of read all of these. When I say that there was some drama though, I really mean it. So let me paint you a picture of UC Gate. Neopets had a lot of major changes even when Viacom bought them out, obviously. So one of those big changes was changing the art style entirely. And when the art style changed entirely, so did the Neopets that you owned and you played with, unless you changed the color of your Neopets with a paintbrush tool. If you had a Neopet with the old art style, it was considered a UC. It stands for unconverted. I don't know why it's 2 different words, but we're not asking questions. And the thing about UCs is they were extremely sought after, and so sought after that hackers were willing to steal people's accounts to put them on the black market. And yes, Neopets had an underground black market trade where you could buy UCs and other people's pets for real world money. Yes, this rabbit hole gets deeper. That's why I'm excited to make this video. Now, fans actually made some really neat workarounds to find lost UCs because a lot of them were tucked away in accounts that have been abandoned forever. And they created this neat little system that is able to track down and potentially find your own UC that's lost to the system. But that's not important to the story right now. What is important is that around oh my god, my webcam broke again. What's happening here? What is important to the story though is that around 700 unique individual UCs were saved from digital purgatory forever by someone of the username of UC Santa. To give even context of this, the Reddit post that I am reading this information from says that this amount of UCs was worth of $2,000 real money for these digital pets that would have been sold on the black market, and this user was just kind of saving them and giving them away for free. Also, shout out to Reddit user iamnotawindmill for this thread and information. Here it is, their handle on screen. I'm going to give a link to their user profile and more specifically the post that I'm getting all this information from. Unfortunately though, more drama emerged out of UC Santa being nice and giftful and basically finding these guys and rescuing them for other users to have because someone bragged about getting 12 unique UCs from UC Santa. And UC Santa said some not nice things, some things that would put him on the naughty list and got promptly banned for it. So unfortunately, now we have someone who was in possession of some really valuable pets who is now no longer allowed to play the game. So that account probably has tons more that are forever lost. So that's cool. That's cool. That's really cool for a lot of players. Fast forward a few years later when a new community member who was claiming to be the real UC Santa goes by the name of Johanna Barker, which I guess was a reference to Sweeney Todd, according to the original post on Reddit. Then this user decides to hype up that they're going to be doing something. So UC Santa's coming to town, I guess, apparently. I don't know. They didn't really say what they were going to do, but they said they were going to do something on December 26th, 2019 at 6 p.m. Word about this got out really fast, and a lot of anticipation from the community grew. I mean, they're rescuing UCs and we're essentially giving them away to other players. That's a really big deal, and that's a lot of money that they're deciding to leave out of. Anticipation grew for the date, and it turned out to all be a sham, and everyone got really upset. Then Johanna Barker got permanently deleted and left just a funny final message, just something really quirky, just girly things type of humor, right, with this one. Now, truth be told, I probably summed this up really horribly, and I left out some details on purpose because I think it's worth checking out iamnotawindmill's original post and reading what they have to say with more pictures that they left out for us to see. I definitely used a handful of them, but it was mostly just the community member stuff. Go give them an upvote if you have a Reddit account. You know, give them Reddit gold, you wholesome little chungus. Know you're breathtaking. Oh, this is cringe. This was such a fun little story to read. I thought this little bit of information was really important to know, and it really ties into just how bad the community was doing during the Jumpstart Games era. Jumpstart necessarily wasn't really involved with this one, but this is more of like a community drama. I really liked it. I thought it was really funny to hear about, so... All right, now let's go back to the official timeline of things, because things still weren't looking good on the business side of Neopets. In late 2017, Adobe would announce that they are officially ending support for Flash Player. On January 1st, 2021, it would be considered officially dead, which was a huge blow to not just the original Neopets website, but the entirety of the internet, which primarily had a big reliance on Flash Player for playing media files, music, games. Even some of the HTML code was used with Adobe Flash Elements, meaning a lot of stuff was lost on that day. The history of the internet at that point was going to get shaken up forever, and a lot of places still never fully recovered because of it. Up to that point in time, most of the internet in the early 2000s had a massive reliance on Flash, and so taking that away left a lot of places kind of just screwed permanently. If you guys would be interested, I could make an entire video about the ramifications of the death of Flash Player. That'd be interesting to kind of talk about if you want to know more about it. So I guess leave a comment there. I get interaction bait with that. Leave a comment if that's something that'd be interesting to you guys. Neopets would unfortunately suffer a massive blow from this as well, because like most interactive websites from the early 2000s, from when we were growing up and everything, this relied heavily on Flash Player. The day that Flash Player died, so did over 50 games on Neopets' official website. I couldn't find any research about just how many games died, but I'm kind of reverse doing history. You'll see what I mean, how this connects later, but over 50 games? If you remember in my video where I played it last year, you'll recognize that a lot of games were unplayable or just seemed so bare bones. Whatever was left was all that was left, and that shit was depressing. If Flash games dying wasn't just the tip of the iceberg for stuff to get worse, literally a year later in July of 2022, there was a massive data breach where the information of close to over 69 million accounts on Neopets would be compromised. That's a lot. My account maybe got in trouble for that too. This shit was super serious. It led to the threats of class action lawsuits. I mean, they eventually got dropped, but that's still really big. Oh yeah, this, man, how did I forget this, man? this doesn't even tie into the horrible stretch of just the year prior. Again, going back to 2021, not only did Flash die, Neopets also happened to just make the worst decision of all time for any company. I feel like this decision was probably one of the stupidest things that Neopets could have ever done. This just felt like Jumpstart did not understand what made the community love Neopets to begin with in the first place, and instead just looked at the black market trading ring for Neopets and thought that taking the wrong lessons from it was the right thing to do. Just seemed like whoever was in charge of this decision just looked at the black market trade and went, yeah, the community looks like they like this this one-of-one type of collectible for these little characters. We should put these little fuckers in an NFT and make our game Web3 and start from the ground up. Which, I guess, newsflash, I suppose, no one wanted this, especially the Neopets community. This announcement went as well as you would ever expect a shift to NFT and Web3 programming would do during a time when NFTs and crypto and all that stuff was at the height of its popularity and also the height of its controversy. I even made a few jokes about this on my Neopets video last year. I'm sorry to self-plug, it's like the fourth time at this point. I'm not trying to self-plug myself, but I made a few jokes about it, and I even snuck in a Bored Ape NFT JPEG into the thumbnail. The idea of turning Neopets into some Web3 wet dream fastly blew up in their faces with a lot of community backlash happening for the last 2 years. And I say 2 years because specifically this project was canceled and scrapped in July 2023. Now, here's the worst part, I guess, of that whole NFT scandal is that 3D remake of the Neopets classic formula and even making the storylines linear and stuff that you can play through isn't a bad idea by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I think it'd be pretty cool if they kind of made some Animal Crossing 3D platformer life sim for Neopets, and it goes through the story. Like, sounds awesome. It's just the tagline NFT and crypto and Web3, and it just doesn't sound like a very good idea to include that extra little caveat. The first part was a really good idea, and the second half is just, what are you guys smoking over there? That's just my take on it. I think turning this beloved franchise into a money laundering scheme is just kind of evil. It's a franchise that's lasted more than 20 years successful without NFTs, and you just kind of take it over and want to monetize off the nostalgia of a lot of people. It's embarrassing, in my opinion. That's just my personal take on it. Sorry. Unfortunately, the flack for this was big enough to make Jumpstart Games officially close their doors on June 13th, 2023. So not even a whole half a year ago. This is pretty soon. This effectively ended all of their support of not just Neopets, but also any of the other licenses that they owned. With the fate of Neopets up in the air, no one really knew what was going on with this IP. Everyone seemed pretty confused and lost as to who the hell owns this? Who's keeping the lights on here now? But thankfully, with this decision came the most recent change of hands for the Neopets IP and license, and hopefully the last, because that leads us to now, the modern era of Neopets and where it is today. Welcome to the world of Neopia. It was officially announced on July 17th that Neopets no longer belonged to Jumpstart Games, and they announced that Neopets would finally be going independent once again for the first time in 18 years. Even the official Neopets YouTube channel got a brand new fresh reset. I was looking really hard for the video of the NFT announcement for the Web3 stuff, and it just doesn't exist anymore on the website, which is crazy because I remember watching it, but it is gone. It's off the face of the internet. Hopefully someone archived that because it was embarrassing, but I do have a picture of the dislike count from my original video. But thankfully there's a lot of fresh new faces with TNT Willow and TNT Ivy making a Neopets podcast and being collectively the new community members, like the big faces of the community. They're both in charge of running the Nosy Neopians podcast that talks about the past, present, and what will become the future of the Neopets brand. At the time of me officially recording this video, the only video that has been posted recently is a new era for Neopets, which is the video effectively announcing its independence and all the new future changes coming to the brand, which I think is super cool and awesome that this is now an independent project again, and that there's a bright future to be looking forward ahead of time for this whole project, all this crazy history, this controversy, the drama all wrapped up. And hopefully it's ending, it's effectively ending with this new crew who genuinely shows that they care about this project. Since the announcement of this new era of Neopets, remember how I mentioned that there was 50 lost Flash games, or there could be even more than just those 50 I mentioned. Some of those 50, again, I'm saying 50, I don't know the exact number, there wasn't an exact number. This is just coming from a report. At least over 50 Flash games have reappeared on the Neopets website. Like, it was an immediate, once they announced the change, all of these good things that the community has been wanting for so long are finally happening. And it's even reported that more games are on their way. There's a mobile version of the game that's been available. The desktop site is getting completely reworked and rebranded. New stories are coming out. I didn't know there was a story in Neopets. This is so cool. There's a bunch of other things that I'm not even mentioning. With all of that said, what I do mean to say is I think the franchise is in really good hands right now. And I know a lot of people genuinely really care about Neopets, and maybe people even watching this video who are subscribed are people who came from my original Neopets video. So to see stuff like this, probably really cool. Hell, to make things even just weirder, John Legend of all people has announced that he's going to be a brand ambassador for Neopets. Which is, G Fuel literally has a Neopets collection that's out right now, which brings me to today's sponsor. Nobody. I'm not sponsored. I'm not cool like that yet, but I'd love to be soon. G Fuel, let me know. You know, Neopets, let me know. Okay, I'm just being cringe now. I'm sorry, guys. Neopets and its fan base and all of the business around it has been a weird and wacky ride for a lot of people. All these little bastards and Lil Ninja Jr., who's probably long dead by now. Rest in peace, buddy. They deserve a good home. They deserve the best of what's coming to them. And Neopets was a brand and an IP that was taking over the world, at least for kids growing up in the early 2000s, such as myself. Get revived as an NFT project felt really awful and evil to see, and for it to have this comeback has been incredible. I think the new team in charge is going to do really good things for this brand. Hopefully, it's so cool, and this kind of just shows how dedicated they are. And I think, you know, projects that are kept alive by the fan base are some of the most important things possible, and especially with how quick gaming is to kill, and for this to just be stuck on internet browsers is impressive. And I like stuff like this. This is stuff that I like to cover. Just want to give a shout out, I guess, to the Neopets community. And again, a big shout out to iamnotawindmill on Reddit for their crazy explanations of the UC Gate scandal. As I close this video out, I like stuff like this. I like researching things like this, even if I really didn't have any initial passion for Neopets when I made that original video. I can understand the passion of the community, and it seeps through the screen with everything that I read from it. Hopefully I see more of Neopets in the future, and I want to do more videos like this in the future as well to go along with that. If you want to see me cover more games, like how I've done this one today in this new style, please let me know which ones you'd be interested in seeing. And most importantly, have a good rest of your day. Leave a like in this video if you liked it. Leave a dislike if you didn't. If you have any memories of Neopets drama, if you're an owner of a UC, I'd love to hear about it. Sound off in the comments. Share this with people who you think would care about Neopets. I don't really know how to close off videos. But yeah, thank you guys all so much. Appreciate you all. Drink lots of water. I recently moved. You like the new set? You like the new background? That cable right there, that big old, that nice long cable. I can't really get rid of that yet. I need a special tool because the previous tenants of this apartment, they really put that fucker in there. That thing is deep, and I don't have the tool for that just yet. So that's a lot of fun. I also, like my plushies on my decorations. Yeah, have a lovely day. I'm just gonna end the video right here.